The thing is, can you sustain the process and allow it to become that possibility? Between possibility and reality, there is a distance. Most people neither have the courage nor the conviction to walk the distance.
One works sufficiently upon his energies. The right sense of understanding and guidance, if it is done, very easily one can get enlightened on the level of his energy. His energy will be enlightened. His consciousness might not have gone beyond, but his energies will be enlightened. This is something we have been doing in close groups of people for a long time. Shiva also has spoken about it. Once it glows, slowly the energy will mature within a very short period of time, and energy will become enlightened. It glows. You have a glow of an enlightened being, but you don't have the consciousness of an enlightened being.
Because they don't want to be clients to bad designers. Now I want you to… whatever I say now, I want you to understand the right context because this can be easily misunderstood. What is enlightenment? There was a time in '60s, there used to be ads in California saying, if you go to India, it will take 12 years, $25, 1 hour, you can be enlightened here. There used to be ads where all you have to do is wear headphones, wear some fancy-looking goggles, and you would have… and they'll also put something into you together. It gave you such a psychedelic experience. So, people advertise. So what is enlightenment? You know, repeatedly we're going on saying asatoma sadgamaya, asatoma sadgamaya. What it means is, you're trying to invoke yourself, I want to move from untruth to truth. There are many ways of looking at it. To put it very simply, the fundamental untruth about you is, right now, what is not you, you are experiencing as myself. This is a piece of earth. Repeatedly we've gone over this. But right now, you experience this as myself. This is an untruth, isn't it? If I experience this, a sofa, as myself, definitely I need a couch, isn't it? Yes, sir? So, if you think, I am this vessel, you're definitely a case, isn't it? Treatment needed or no? Yes. Yes, if I think I'm a vessel, I need a treatment, but my body, this was also dug out of the planet. This was also dug out of the planet. Yes? This is also a piece of earth, this is also a piece of earth, isn't it? If I can think this is me, why can't I think this is me? Looks like I have an additional chamber in my head. Nice, isn't it? Extra chamber would help. But for sure it's madness, isn't it? This being me is definitely madness. Please look at it. This being me, is it not madness? Your only comfort is everybody is like this. Yes, that's how it is in the asylum. That's how it is. Just because everybody is like you, that doesn't make it the right thing. I know we are a democratic country, majority rules, whatever the majority says, that becomes the truth. But that is not how it works in existence. What is, what is not is, that's all. If you're in line with it, life works one way. If you're not aligned with it, it works another way. It's as simple as that. So, if you realize, I am not this, not intellectually, if experientially, if a clear separation happened, it would be natural to keep this aside and walk away, isn't it? You are calling it by all kinds of bad words like death. No. I thought I am this vessel and continuously I carried it. One day I realized, oh my God, this is not me. It's natural for me to keep it down. And said, yeah, isn't it? Isn't it so? Yes. So that's all they did. You're exaggerating it. Enlightened people leaving their body and going away. When they realized this is not it, they just kept it aside. If they had some more business, they could pick it up. They had no business, they kept it and went. Sensible way to live or not? If you have business with this vessel, you carry it around. You have no business with it, you leave it there. So when the realization happens, 99% of the time, enlightenment and leaving the body happens at the same time. Unless you understand the mechanics of the body, you can't hold on to the body. People who are on the path of devotion, usually you will see, most of them will die young. It's not death. The moment they realized, they kept it aside and walked away. You will see, right through history, any number of yogis and realized beings always live in the range of between 28 to 36 years. That's where they live. Have you noticed this? India is replete with such people. That's the time they live. You heard of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa? You heard of Vivekananda? He was the first yogi who came to United States in 1893. He was the first yogi. His guru was Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He's a devotee. He has a mother goddess and he's devoted and he's in a different way altogether. In his own lifetime, people worshipped him as God. He was not crucified, he was worshipped because his presence and this thing was so phenomenal. But he was mad about food. He will be talking to his congregation of people and he will say, just wait. He will go inside and ask his wife, what's cooking today? His wife Sharada felt so ashamed of this. She said, what is your problem? Even I'm not bothered about food, what is your problem? We see you as God. What is this madness about food? I said, that's okay, but what's cooking? One day she felt so ashamed of this and she told him, I'm ashamed of you. Why are you mad about food? So he said, in that part of the country, always food comes on a large… in India we don't eat on plates like this, we eat on a plate like this. It's called a thali. A plates with served food is called thali. He said, the day you bring the thali to me, the day you bring this food to me, if I show no interest in the food, you must know there are only 3 days left. He said this and 7 years passed after that. After 7 years, one day, he always had this habit of sitting on a swing and eating. So he would sit on the swing and eat. She brought the thali and he looked away. She burst out crying. Suddenly she realized, only 3 days left. He said, no point crying, time has come. 3 days later, he left. So he was using his desire for food consciously to kind of stay with the body. If he doesn't desire food, he will go. So every day telling himself, food, 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 That's not his nature, but he's creating the desire just to keep it going all the time. He sits here in the satsang and if the experience becomes big, immediately he gets up and goes and says, what's cooking, what's today, I want to eat this, I want to eat that. Just thinking about food, desire, creating a conscious desire for food just to stay glued. Either you must create a desire like this, there are other kinds of tricks, or you must understand the mechanics of the body. Understanding the mechanics of the body takes a certain amount of involvement, it doesn't just come. Realization can happen in a moment, understanding won't happen in a moment, it takes lifetimes of work.
The mango season is just getting over. In India, it's a big thing. If you looked at the mango tree in the month of October, November, December, you didn't see any sweetness dripping out of it. Suddenly in January, February, flowers came. They were not as attractive as jasmine or rose flowers or something, some tiny little flowers came. Suppose you do not know this is a mango tree and you tasted it, you take a leaf and bite it, it was quite bitter. But suddenly in the month of April, May, huge drops of sweetness hanging there in the tree. So, if you did not have prior knowledge that this is a mango tree, did you think this tree is actually manufacturing this sweetness? But you think suddenly in April sweetness came? It has been slowly manufacturing this sweetness and it put it out at a certain season, but it's been on right through the year, isn't it? Mangoes happen only in one season. You notice the sweetness only at a certain time. This does not mean the mango tree was not striving and working to produce that sweetness. You cut any part of the mango tree and taste it, you will not find a slightest tinge of sweetness, believe me. But when the mango comes, how much sweetness? Where is it coming from? It's been working on it, you couldn't see it. Similarly, is it a process? For sure it's a process. But can everybody see the process, identify the process? No. When somebody is evolving on the spiritual path, others thought he's a nutcase, somebody thought he's vagrant, somebody thought he's a vagabond, somebody thought he's something else. But when the sweetness came, everybody who tasted realized that this is a fantastic thing. So, nothing in the universe happens bang, bang, bang. Everything is a process. Can you identify the process? Can you recognize the process, is the question. Generally, anybody who carries, generally among human beings, when they're children, any child which carries a certain level of genius within him, which is irrepressible. Everybody has genius within them, but they're repressible. Systems in the society, their own fears, their own anxieties, their own need for security represses their genius. Every human being has some kind of genius, but over 90% of the human beings never find expression to it because they give in to other things. Other things become more important. When you were 12, 15, you thought, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll go to the moon. But you saw the neighborhood girl and started calling her the moon. Moon disappeared. So, like this, in everybody, the possibility is wide open. The thing is, can you sustain the process and allow it to become that possibility? Between possibility and reality, there is a distance. Most people neither have the courage nor the conviction to walk the distance. Largely, spiritual process is a kind of an entertainment. Go to discourse after discourse, discourse after discourse, read more and more books and debate how your Atman, Paramatman, your soul is floating here, there and about heaven and hell and everything, but do nothing about this. It's largely like entertainment. So, there is a process for sure. The process can be approached consciously or it may be an unconscious process, but you're doing the right things. This is the beauty of this universe. Whether you know or you do not know, knowingly or unknowingly, with discipline or with indiscipline, with love or with hate, if you do the right things will happen to you. That is the beauty of this universe. So Adi Shankara said, yogaratova bogaratova. Somehow, either through yoga or boga, somehow do it. Somehow find the truth of your inner nature, because what we are considering as truth is simply this. Whatever works on all levels of life must be the truth, isn't it? Whatever really works on all levels of life must be the truth. Whatever you know in your life, test it right now, because you have a mind which can project. Right now, you are striving for a certain level of income or a certain kind of house or a car or something else or something else. Put yourself in different stages of life and see if it still means a lot to you. See, suppose not tomorrow, let's say 100 years later, you're on your deathbed. Just see if your jewelry, your makeup, your car will mean something to you on that day. This does not mean you must give it up today. It is just that you must keep it in its place, you must not carry it in your heart. There is a difference between using something and being used by something. Most people do not know how to use the things that they buy. The things that they buy are using them up. They're enslaving the human being. Whatever things you want to use, you can use, that's not an issue. But the problem is, you let those things use you. This is not okay. So if you just take care that you are not used by anything, you understand the limited role that everything has in your life, the limited role of your education, the limited role of your career, the limited role of your marriage, the limited role of your relationships, the limited role of your wealth, the limited role of everything that you're doing. If you understand where one thing begins and where it ends, then you don't have to do anything. Spiritual process is on. When the season is right, the flowers will bloom and mangoes will come.
When you look at your life, the way you live it, many times you would have noticed that you are ruled by compulsive emotions. Today you really want to be peaceful. Today it happens to be your wife's birthday, your husband's something, you really want to make sure nothing goes wrong, that's a day just the anger rules you, just comes out for no reason. So, these things people try to control for their whole lifetimes and nothing changes. The mechanics of the mind, the way the mind functions. Is just the way the karmic substance is. Because mind is just an accumulation. What kind of accumulation you have, that's how it functions. If one has to go beyond the limitations or beyond the compulsiveness that a certain type of accumulation creates within us, either one has to raise into a different level of awareness, consciousness, with which he can become free. Or another way is, he has to transform his energies. Raising to higher levels of consciousness generally is very deceptive. Everybody believes they're very high consciousness. If you put them to test and they'll fail miserably, because the nature of the mind is such, it can deceive you till the end. People believe they have changed many times, simply because their situations have become little more conducive, they have changed. If situations become extreme, again they're back to the same place. Yes, have you noticed this again and again? So transforming your energies is a more sure path, a more certain path, you're walking on solid ground. And all you need is a certain dedication and involvement in a certain practice. If one works sufficiently upon his energies, the right sense of understanding and guidance, if it is done, very easily one can get enlightened on the level of his energy. His energy will be enlightened. His consciousness might not have gone beyond, but his energies will be enlightened. This is something we have been doing in close groups of people for a long time. Shiva also has spoken about it. Shiva says, when the spinal thread is touched, a light begins to glow in and around you. If you place the whole attention on the Sushumna Nadi, and if it is properly touched, then it becomes alive and it glows. Once it glows, slowly, the energy will mature within a very short period of time, and energy will become enlightened. It glows. You have a glow of an enlightened being, but you don't have the consciousness of an enlightened being. If you stand, if you simply sit quietly, you are a powerful being. You open your mouth, you're a fool, that's how you will be. But it's good to be this way because this is easy to achieve. This is easy to achieve, all you need is dedication, especially when I am around, this is very easy to do. If you just touch the spinal cord, it can just glow.
So, we have many like that. We don't name them. You don't go looking for them.
When the spinal thread is touched, a light begins to glow in and around you. You have a glow of an enlightened being. Especially when I am around, this is very easy to do.
We will set up procedures and methods and energy investments to help people towards that realization.
All you need is a certain dedication and involvement in a certain practice.